In the near future, a cutting-edge theme park is created that allows people to interact with lifelike, engineered attractions. It's all fun and games until something goes haywire and the attractions begin killing the guests. If this sounds slightly familiar, it's because author-filmmaker Michael Crichton's Westworld features some near-identical themes to his later Dinosaurs Run Amok novel, Jurassic Park.
We've been there. Pardon me, sir. What is your name?
Gardner Lewis. Just got back from Westworld.
Tell us how you liked it, Mr. Lewis.
When you played cowboys and Indians as a kid, you'd point your fingers and go bang, bang, and the other kid would lie down and pretend dead. Well, Westworld is the same thing, only it's for real.
Hi, I'm Stephen at Real Classic Film Reviews. Please take a second to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy a good old-fashioned classic western, a nice slice of classic sci-fi, or if you just enjoy awesome films in general. In fact, let me know in the comments below some old school movies that you feel don't get enough love. In 1973, guests were invited to Westworld, a close to real-life theme park experience where the attractions are lifelike androids, there to help you live out your fantasies, in this case, of being a cowboy in the Wild West, allowing guests to engage in shootouts, horse ridings and visiting adult establishments. This was of course a couple of decades before the idea got recycled to include genetically engineered dinosaurs on the loose, and long before HBO brilliantly adapted and expanded upon it in its excellent but mind-bending miniseries. As well as a Wild West themed resort, the park here extends to a Roman world and a medieval world, but the majority of our plot takes place in the Old West, with everyman Richard Benjamin and his buddy James Brolin planning to let off some steam by shooting pre-programmed gunslingers and bedding android prostitutes. Richard Benjamin, who would eventually go on to have a directing career himself, plays Peter, who's recently divorced and slightly reluctant about the actual concept of the park. And James Brolin, father of Josh Brolin aka Thanos, plays John, who's visited the park previously and is eager to show his buddy a good time.
How was it? Wasn't it terrific? Boy, machines are the servant of man.
However, the actual star of the film, certainly according to the marketing material and his salary, is Yul Brynner as the main android gone wrong protagonist. Here, he essentially plays a near-silent version of his character from the Magnificent Seven, even down to wearing the same outfit from that 1960 Western classic. Although this time round, he's not nobly saving poor villagers, but going on an unstoppable shooting spree himself. The film interestingly establishes a world where a 24-hour-a-day technical crew work tirelessly to keep all the artificial people, horses, dogs and snakes in good working order, sneaking out when the guests are asleep to clean up the robotic victims of the guests' role-playing. I'll admit to having a personal soft spot for classic sci-fi movies that show computer operators stood in front of enormous consoles covered in blinking lights.
A quick fade in the CRT and my balance controls don't seem to help me.
I'm keeping this in real time. Switch me over to an online status and I'll do it manually. Okay, you've got a 3 millisecond cycle delay which should be computed in.
I don't know what to do if the stagecoach is late.
However, we have to see the eventual moral repercussions of allowing visitors to essentially murder and seduce androids for their own entertainment. Disaster is set into gear in the form of a sneaky bit of repeating code, or as one technician describes it, a programming disease. A more modern term would be computer virus. This brings Brynner's previously shot down cyborg back from the dead, only this time bearing a grudge and looking to do some murdering of his own. The tone of the movie shifts here from almost light comedy to something more brutal and intense, the third act becoming a cat and mouse game across the 3 areas of the park, with Brynner's lifeless stare and brilliantly creepy soundtrack racking up the tension. Brynner here is perfectly cast. Helped by some reflective contact lenses, he has a perfectly believable robot look. The way he stalks his prey, paving the way for pretty much every classic serial killer from then on. Think Michael Myers from Halloween and Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th series. In fact, watching this film back today, it's interesting to see how much James Cameron's Terminator films owe Yul Brynner's performance here. A silent robotic killer, slowly and methodically hunting humans. It even reminded me of a Predator movie, with its android's point of view sequences, which, trivia time, was cinema's first ever use of 2D CGI. This claim to fame apart, Westworld is very much of its time. When we see the inner workings of the robots, it's essentially a mishmash of wires and circuit boards. Compared to the more modern version, or even early Terminator films, it does seem quite quaint. With computers and robotics still being in relative infancy in the early 70s, it can be forgiven and even adds to the film's charm. The late Michael Crichton, writer of The Andromeda Strain, Rising Sun and Jurassic Park amongst many others, had more success as an author than as a director, although he does some solid work here with what is obviously a small budget. The film makes good use of some outdoor locations, which are nicely contrasted with the dull, sterile atmosphere of the behind-the-scenes laboratory and control centre. Running at a super tight 88 minutes, there was probably a little more scope to include just a bit more chaos. As creepy as it is, the last act is essentially a foot chase through the aftermath of robot carnage. Westworld was followed by a terrible sequel, Future World, itself claiming some fame by being the first feature-length film to use 3D CGI, and a doomed early 80s TV series that was canned after only a few episodes. The original Westworld is in danger of becoming largely forgotten outside of a growing cult following, but with its enjoyably retro thrills and the popularity of the current TV show, it definitely deserves revisiting. Please, go check it out.
The medieval world, Roman world, and Westworld. Contact us today or see your travel agent. Boy, have we got a vacation for you. Vacation for you. For you. For you. 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 You.